Hey everyone. So in today's video, I found two reports that show the stark contrast in what our Canadian media is telling us. One report shows Trump continuing to threaten Canada, this time threatening to put a tariff on Canadian potash. The other is promoting Canadians to go to Orlando. Like seriously, CTV, what the fuck? I'm going to go into both of these in this video. Today's backdrop comes from one of our loyal channel viewers, and someone who also helps us send reports to me on a regular basis. This photo was taken at Montreal's Trudeau International Airport by one of our viewers named YUL Spotter. I guess the name checks out. I appreciate you sending this over, along with the other photos that I will use in a future video. Now before I get started, I know many of you wanted me to create a video on Trump's national security strategy, which is basically a blueprint to take over the world. I know my Canadian channel colleagues Klaus Kellerman and Bill Kelly have both created amazing videos on this topic. And I'll be honest, there really isn't anything else I would be able to add to their message. I also didn't want to create a video just for the hell of it, when a lot of what I would say is just repeated by the two creators that I do think very highly of. So instead, I suggest you check out their videos on this topic. Give them the views, since they did a great job on their videos. And I'll leave a link to their videos in the description below. One more note before I start. One of our Blue Sky viewers sent me this photo of their local grocery store, still trying to get away with the maple washing. We still need to be on guard when it comes to our groceries, and don't be afraid to call them out, or better yet, report them to the CFIA. So thank you to our Blue Sky viewer for tagging me in your post. Alright, let's get started.
A new U.S. tariff threat, this time focusing on Canadian fertilizer.
A lot of it does come in from Canada, and so we'll end up putting very severe tariffs on that if we have to, because that's the way you want to bolster here, and we can do it here.
So it's a new month, a new threat, and a new set of disrespect and hostility towards Canada, as well as his national security bullshit. I think by now many of us are just immune to the words that come out of his mouth. We're already making alternatives on a consumer level. Not all of us, but enough of us to hurt them economically. Every time Trump decides to say something like this, it just adds more fuel to the US boycott. And honestly, even some Canadians who might have been on the fence about everything are now starting to think, yeah, no, I think I'm done with the US. I say this because a good friend of mine, who really didn't care very much about what's going on, was recently pulled into secondary on one of his work trips. This experience was so bad for him that he decided he's also done with the US. And he told his employer he's no longer going on work trips or any trips to the US. So yeah, add another to the US boycott side. And I'm sure there's others out there as well. If you agree or know others that recently gave up on going to the US, or if you just want to support my channel, hit the like and subscribe button if you're enjoying this video so far. I would sincerely appreciate it.
While Trump provided no specifics on what that severe tariff could look like, it would seriously impact U.S. farmers. Currently, over 95% of potash, a key ingredient in industrial fertilizer, is imported into the U.S. 90% of that comes from Canada.
And they start charging and sending the, very high prices from other countries, whether it's Canada or somebody else. We're not going to let that happen.
90% of the potash that the US imports comes from Canada. So this isn't just hurting Canada, it's also hurting the farmers, who are already hurting from the tariffs. Those soybean farmers are probably dehydrated by now, with all the tears coming out of their eyes. But how is this mess even logical? No one wins from this except for maybe the corporations, who buy up the bankrupt farmers' land. But hey, they voted for this.
The latest threat comes days after the president spoke and danced with Prime Minister Mark Carney at the World Cup draw in Washington.
It's the first time I haven't danced at YMCA.
But that jovial mood hasn't paid off. Outside of potential potash tariffs, Trump doesn't seem interested in restarting trade talks with Canada that he himself called off in October.
Will you restart that?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the problem is Canada makes a lot of things that we don't need because we make them also.
This is a classic example of the disrespect we get from the orange guy. I had a US citizen who claimed that he was a registered Democrat voter. He sounded like it as well. He told me that he hates Trump, but he doesn't believe the administration or the country is disrespecting Canada. First off, I had to remind the guy that wanting to take over my country is a pretty big disrespectful move. But second, I said in a partnership, respect goes both ways. If you don't value what your neighbor provides you, which Trump clearly doesn't, then that is disrespect. Sadly, this guy didn't understand. I chalk that up to another case of US exceptionalism. And what's even more sad is that it came from a registered Democratic voter, not someone on the MAGA side.
But Trump seemingly recognized that the U.S. could not make enough fertilizer domestically in November, when he previously exempted Canadian potash from all U.S. duties, with China, Russia, and Belarus the only other major potash producers in the world.
When I go, or the Minister of International Trade or Minister of Finance goes and meets with any country in the world, with one exception, any government, they want to do more business with Canada.
Canada's agriculture sector is already being hammered by China, with a 100% duty on canola and a 25% levy on pork donna, but a fertilizer tariff would likely be different, since the Americans are so reliant on buying Canadian potash.
You know, the cynical side of me says, go ahead, Trump, do it. Kill your farming industry even more, because I know most of the US farmers voted for this. But that won't help anyone on either side of the border. But then again, nothing shocks me in 2025 anymore. It could happen. So I showed this report not just because of the tariff threat on potash, but also to show you how global news is providing us with information and keeping everyone informed. I'm not saying global news is the best, because every outlet has its pros and cons. But this next one from CTV, it really made me scratch my head, in a way where I had to ask myself, does CTV even know what's going on in the US right now? Let's take a look.
With another blast of winter coming our way, you may be dreaming of a warm getaway. Consumer travel expert Barry Troy is here to share with us why Orlando, Florida is top of mind for a lot of Albertans. Good morning, Barry.
Okay, let me ask our viewers from Alberta. Are you dreaming of going to Orlando? Does this report speak for you or anyone in your inner circle? I'm genuinely curious about what Albertans think about this report, because it is directed at you.
Good morning. Good to be back.
Great to have you with us. And this is an interesting destination, and travel demand to the U.S. has softened.
Yep.
But you say Orlando is still trending. Why is that?
You know, it really shouldn't be a surprise for you were just talking about the weather. It's cold out there right now. People are looking for sun, right? A lot of people have condos in Orlando or in the Florida area, so it's easy for them to get there. WestJet has twice a week flights, so it's super simple.
Twice a week flights. I'm sure that before Trump, there were probably more than twice a week flights to Orlando. I'm just saying.
On top of that, a lot of families, they want to make their memories with their kids. They don't want to wait. And obviously, there's also multi-generational travel, which is very important. Who knows how your health can affect the older people. So they just want to get out with their family when they can and enjoy the weather.
And there's a new theme park in Orlando called Epic Universe. Tell us about it.
We were talking about this off air, and it is amazing. I went to the launch last year. It's the first new theme park in Orlando in about 25 years. And what I love about it is it's obviously got the newest technology. And if you're not familiar with it, it's got some theme lands such as Harry Potter, Nintendo World, Dark Universe, which includes Frankenstein, and How to Train Your Dragon, which has been really popular with kids most recently. I love the Mario Kart ride. I love the Donkey Kong Minecraft ride. I love all the food. And here's a pro tip. If you stay at one of Universal's properties, you actually get early access so you can beat the crowds.
Sounds more like a sales pitch versus a news report. I could care less about everything he's mentioned because I don't go to theme parks. But there are families that do, and he does bring up a valid point. Families don't want to wait. But there are plenty of families out there still traveling, just not to the United States. What doesn't sit right with me in this report is that it's encouraging Canadians to go to the United States. Despite the issues with CBP, possibly getting pulled into secondary, and all the other issues that we experienced at the border. Oh yeah, those ICE guys too. Forgot about them. But the biggest part that doesn't sit right with me, from my earlier report on Trump, I really don't understand how Canadians can continue to support a country whose president and his supporters treat us like shit. I know I say people are free to do whatever they want, but in my view, my vacation money isn't going to a place where I'm not wanted. I'd love to continue watching the Vancouver Canucks in LA, Anaheim, or Las Vegas, or even Seattle, even though my team is in dead last. But anyways, I give that all up because I value my country more.
Very cool. Now, Walt Disney World is a big draw. Is there a special offer for Canadian visitors right now?
Yeah, definitely. Walt Disney has not forgotten about their Canadian neighbors to the north. So if you book at least 4-day park tickets, you can get discounts. The same thing applies if you're booking 4-day hotel tickets. So there's a lot of different discounts, and what some people don't realize is these theme parks, they're not just for kids. I was joking, and actually I'm serious, that I actually prefer it when I don't go with my daughter, because then I'm not at her pace. I get to do what I want. Disney World's got some great rides such as Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, Guardians of the Galaxy, and so much more. So it's great for all ages.
And Barry, we've talked about the big players now. What other attractions are there in Orlando?
You know what? It's got to be the great outdoors and the sunshine. From mild to wild, there's fun for things of all ages. One of the most popular things to do is to zip line over gators. Now, understandably, that's not for everyone. Alternatively, you can go kayaking over crystal clear waters, and you can even go snorkeling.
Is it me, or does this guy's sales pitch seem a bit over the top? I cringe when I hear this in 2025. It just makes me wonder if the guy benefits from anyone booking a trip.
With manatees, which I think is really cool. What I also love about Orlando is the neighborhoods. This is Winter Park that you're seeing.
Okay, I'm going to end it here. I can't stand listening to him promote a country that calls us the 51st state. If I didn't already look up where this guy was from, I would have thought he was an American. But why I wanted to show you this cringeworthy report? It was cringe to me. It's because this report does not provide a good representation of what's actually happening in the United States at this moment. I wouldn't have said anything at all if this report happened last year, because we had no major issues with the United States. This year we do. And it's sad that there will probably be some families who buy into this report. And these are probably the same people who don't care about anything except their own needs. The me people. So let me paint this picture for everyone and remind you what is actually happening in the United States right now and what actually really matters. Not the stupid Disneyland theme park rides.
I was born in the USA. Those are the words from a woman who was chased into her home in New Orleans by ICE agents. The Trump administration has a mission to deport 5,000 undocumented immigrants in 2 months. But a woman has come forward to say she was mistakenly targeted.
A terrified woman flees 2 men in masks.
Leave me alone!
It's not a mugging. She's an American citizen being chased by ICE agents who think she's here illegally. Jacelyn Guzman says she was born in the USA.
I immediately started telling him, like, I'm born and raised here, like, I'm a U.S. citizen, and he did not care at all.
Now imagine you're at a theme park with your kids, and you have the same name and skin color as someone they're looking for. Do you think you're going to get a chance to explain yourself? Not a chance in hell. ICE and even CBP isn't going to give you a chance to explain your side until you're detained. With this woman here, she's a U.S. citizen, and in my opinion, probably has a better chance of a quick release from detainment than a foreigner does. But mistakes happen more than we think. A friend of mine told me that his cousin entered the U.S. at a border crossing in Ontario. Just a regular trip to the U.S. for a golf trip. Nothing was out of the ordinary until he was pulled into secondary. It turns out, he has the same first and last name as someone who is on a list in the United States. After repeating that he is not that person, he was denied entry. Now think about this. What if this person was approached by ICE inside the US instead of just being sent back to Canada? And for the record, my friend told me that his cousin is also done with the United States.
I was scared, but then another car pulled up, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm out of here.
Moments later, her angry stepfather confronted the ICE agents.
Get the out of here! Why? This is a public area.
The Department of Homeland Security says the agents were looking for a criminal illegal alien. They encountered a female matching the description of the target. Agents determined the individual in question was not the target. No arrests were made. It's a scene happening across America. U.S. citizens born and raised here caught in the sweep as ICE agents look for undocumented migrants.
Match the description. So basically a person of color with dark skin, maybe an accent. Sure, there were no arrests made, but they were chasing that woman down the street. But nothing wrong was done here, right? See, this is the reality happening in the United States, not the bells and whistles of a stupid theme park and a new ride. I guess my message from this video is really to show everyone that despite many of us boycotting the United States, our own Canadian media will still, for some reason, promote a country that's trying to take us over. I expected that report from a US-based media outlet. It wouldn't surprise me. But from Canada? It's in bad taste and it's tone deaf. This might seem minor to some of you watching this, but even from halfway around the world, I'm still sticking up for my country and calling out the bullshit. Alright, that's all I got for this video. If you found any value or agree with anything I've said in this video, help the channel by hitting the like and subscribe before you leave. And if you're still here up to this point, I really appreciate your support. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day, everyone.